Planning for the future is important, and more than ever, the Crofting Commission are encouraging crofters to think about succession planning. A new life in Inverness meant that Lachie decided to take steps to hand his croft in North Uist over to his nephew Donnie. Here is their experience.
My croft at number 2 Balloch in North Uist, I inherited it from a family member 30 plus years ago. The intention was that I would move back to Uist and settle there with my wife and family, but we had been very well set up here in Inverness, so we through time decided just to stay put. I decided in the end, seeing I wasn't going to go back to Uist, that it would make sense to follow tradition and pass the croft on to my nephew Donnie.
My uncle handed me over 2 Balloch, which is just up the road from here, and at the same time my father gave me 2 Goler, which is just down in Hogrie Township as well. Been working with my dad since I was a wee boy anyway, so they're getting on now in age, so they passed them over. I suppose I was just getting taken along with Dad when I was a wee boy. You just kind of fell into it, you didn't really know anything different, so. And then the older you get, the more you get into it. Balloch is mainly used for summertime grazing. There's we've got an apportionment, and then there's 2 other fields on the side of a hill. It's just mainly cattle we keep, so we bring up young calves to sell on as beef. I like seeing the calves being brought up from small to make them a good product to sell on. They've got a nice life, so they're on grass all their lives, so they're not locked up in sheds and stuff, so I do enjoy being out and about with them and that.
Yeah, the process of transferring the croft or transferring the assignation is quite straightforward.
Handing over the croft I thought it was quite straightforward really. My uncle just started it off, and then all you had to do was sign a couple of forms and that was it really, and it was passed on pretty quickly. Succession planning is quite important because it's quite hard to get into crofting if you don't get them handed down. If you were to try and buy them, you'd always be in the red, I would say. No empty crofts would be a big thing. If you're in the local area and you can see them not being used, it's quite frustrating.
The tradition of the way the crofting has worked in Uist, you do things in a certain way. You know, if I had taken the other route and put the property on the open market, the likelihood would have been that the tradition wouldn't have kept going, you know. Whereas it is with Donnie taking it over, he'll keep things going the way his own father and my grandfather did before him, you know.
I think it's quite important that crofting continues because it's to do with the way the culture of the living here is. It's like, it just goes hand in hand with the way that your life is. It'd be a shame if it just became like farms again, which it was at one point, but it's quite nice when everyone's got their own wee bit and tries to keep it going. Yeah, if I did have kids, I would like them to carry on. Hopefully somebody in the family would enjoy it and try and carry it on, because my grandfather had them and then my uncle had them, my dad got passed them on, and then that's how the family still got them. So it's quite nice knowing the history, and if they carried it on, they would know that they got it from me, and then they can look back in time and it's all family history connected, so it's quite a nice thing to keep going.
To find out more about croft succession, please visit our website www.crofting.gov.scot/succession.